Well, hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Sam, and I'm a student of the Bible and of theology. I'm a pastor, and I'm a writer. I write on my blog, samberg.org, if you want to check that out. And my training involves biblical studies, theology, and biblical languages. James chapter 3, we're going to finish that right now. We've been going through the book of James. I've kind of spread that out a little more than I had been doing, but we were all the way through James 3. We talked about the tongue, and that's the beginning of James 3, 1 through 12. And how taming our tongue is so important, especially, he says, those who, not many of you should become teachers or try to instruct somebody else if you can't tame your tongue. If you can't even control what's coming out of your mouth, why would you want to instruct somebody else in doing that? Well, we're going to go a little further with that whole idea as it relates to wisdom. So at the beginning of chapter 1, he talked about if anyone lacks wisdom, ask of God, and he'll give it to you generously, right? Chapter 3, he's going to circle back to this idea of wisdom, but he's going to use it in the context of how you speak to people and the things that are coming out of your mouth and what you're using your words for, and how we should be careful how we use our words. But we also should, wisdom tells us that we should be very careful about what we allow to come out of our mouth, and actually what comes out of our mouth will show others if we're wise or not. So we're going to read through James 3, 13 to 18 I'm going to read it in the NIV, and I'll stop and pause for a couple times to talk about what I think is really going on here and what practical advice comes straight from this. I think this is awesome stuff, okay? Verse 13, who's wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. So here's what James is saying here. He's saying that if you are wise, if you have wisdom and you have true understanding, then you're wise enough to know that it's not just about telling other people you're wise. The wisest people I've ever known have never gone around spouting how wise they are to somebody else and going, man, I'm super wise. Like, the wisest people that I know show their wisdom through their humility and how they live and how they act towards other people and how they use their words very carefully with other people. Not just saying whatever pops into their head, not just being outraged and letting it fly. Like, they show their wisdom by how they use their wisdom in their words towards each other. So I love that. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it. Don't let them say it. Don't let them try to convince you of it by what they're telling you about how wise they are. And it's not about their words. It's about their actions. It's about how they use wisdom. The wise people will show that they are wise by how they use their wisdom, is what James is trying to say. It's by the deeds that's done in humility that comes from wisdom. Wisdom is shown through our humility towards one another, not in our boastful arrogance. And then how amazing we are and how good we are and how wise we are. Like, usually people who have to tell you those things aren't any of those things. Okay, so that's what James is trying to get at here. He says, but if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Like, if that's going on, don't minimize that to maximize you, or don't go around boasting about it. Like, that's not what true wisdom is. And then he says this, such quote unquote wisdom, people who have to often tell you how wise they are, how good they are, and they boast about it, or they deny the truth about who they really are and try to make up something to make themselves look good. Such quote unquote wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. Yikes. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. That's like the tip of the iceberg. Verse 17, but the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. It's based in the actions of humility that we show to one another. All of those things have humility and love for other people baked into them, right? Peacemakers who sow peace reap a harvest of righteousness. And so James is he's just trying to show us, listen, if anybody wants to show how wise they are, It's not going to be with our words. It's not going to be with our spouting off about how wise and how smart we are and how much we know and all that kind of stuff, or how good we are and how important we are. None of that shows off wisdom. What shows off wisdom is deeds done in humility towards one another, out of love for other people, where we are actually using our wisdom to show that we are wise. That's what he's trying to say here. And it comes off as pure, peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy, full of good fruit. You'll know people by the fruit in their life, not just by what they say. Impartial and sincere, and they're peacemakers. They're not looking to stir stuff up. They're not looking just to fight with everybody, and they're looking like, how can I promote peace in these kind of situations? And I think what James is saying here, and the wisdom he is portraying here, is actually a really good word for people in today's society, today's culture, especially if you live within the United States of America. This is a word for us right now, and how ugly we can be with each other and divided over a lot of different things, and really it can get really, really nasty and terrible, and there's not a lot of peace promoting going on. There's not a lot of this stuff going on. But true wisdom sees that all the rhetoric is terrible, and all the rhetoric leads to fighting and hurting and not loving other people. And so who is wise? Those who are acting out of humility and love for other people, showing off their wisdom by how they're acting in a wise manner, and they will promote peace. So that's what James wants to conclude after he talks about how you use your words and how you speak about and to one another. And then he says, show off your wisdom. Show off how wise you are. Because those who do will act in humility and all that kind of stuff. And then he's going to go into chapter 4, and he talks about, well, what causes fights and quarrels among you? And he's going to talk about that, but we won't get into that till the next time. So that's James chapter 3. Let's practice wisdom, and let's practice all these things that show off a real attitude of wisdom through humility and love for other people. All right. Have a great day, and give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.